Hi, I'm Li Lei. Today we're going to talk about this book, Pride and Prejudice. This is obviously a classic. It was officially published in 1813 and has been popular for over 200 years. The cover of this edition says, "A guide to love and marriage for young people. I will always be true to myself, running towards you day and night." Pretty inspiring, right? So why does this story still feel so fresh after all these years? Maybe it's because it reflects our reality. When I run towards you day and night, where is that person? Where should I go to find them? Secondly, when you reach a certain age and people around you start pushing you to get married, what do you do if that person hasn't shown up yet? Thirdly, when we choose to enter into a relationship and marriage, do we value feelings more or wealth more? Fourthly, if everyone disapproves of your relationship and your parents are against it, how should you handle it? In Pride and Prejudice, all these dramatic scenarios actually happen. So what kind of story does Pride and Prejudice tell? It takes place in a small town in late 18th and early 19th century England. Mr. Bennet is a middle-class man with 5 beautiful daughters, all of whom are at the age to start thinking about marriage, but their personalities and choices are completely different. The book is called Pride and Prejudice, and you can think of it as referring to 2 people. Who are they? Pride is Mr. Darcy, the rich and handsome CEO, while Prejudice is Elizabeth, the second daughter of Mr. Bennet. Let's talk about these 5 girls. Their lives were originally very peaceful, but one day, the wealthy Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley suddenly appeared in town, causing a stir among these 5 girls who are about to talk about marriage. As the story progresses, we see the elegant, reserved, and very beautiful eldest daughter, Jane, the town's belle, falls in love with Mr. Bingley at first sight. However, this town belle doesn't know how to express her feelings, leading Mr. Bingley to be unsure if she has fallen in love with him. Then we see the second daughter, Elizabeth, our main heroine. She is smart, independent, and has a strong will. She and Mr. Darcy are a perfect match. But because of pride, he can't fall in love with her. And because of prejudice, she can't fall in love with him. They have many entanglements. Meanwhile, the other girls are either passionate, a bit old-fashioned, or a little lost. They all yearn to love and be loved, but often lose themselves. Faced with their mother's varied methods of pushing for marriage, how will these girls take charge of their own love and destiny? This is the most important thread in the book. So, how influential is Pride and Prejudice? We all know that the British writer Maugham, who is both smart and sharp-tongued, included Pride and Prejudice in his list of the top 10 novels in the world. American literary critics have said that in the past 100 years, there have been several revolutions in taste in the history of British literature. Works that were once highly praised were later cast aside. However, only 2 have remained ever popular: Shakespeare and Jane Austen, the author of Pride and Prejudice. This means that in the eyes of critics, this female author is on par with Shakespeare. How high is Jane Austen's status? On the 200th anniversary of her death, the Bank of England officially issued a new $10 note featuring her portrait and a quote from Pride and Prejudice. So, when you get this bill, you will find it says, "I declare after all there is no enjoyment like reading." Since Pride and Prejudice was officially published, it has been constantly adapted into films or TV series, making the domineering CEO, Mr. Darcy, the dream lover of the whole England. So this story can be simply summarized as, the bossy CEO falls in love with me. The heroine who is loved is Elizabeth, the grandmother of Mary Sue stories. When I say this, a colleague asks, "What is a Mary Sue?" Let's briefly explain. There's a famous work called Star Trek. In 1973, someone spoofed it and did a recreation. They created a perfect female character who could do anything, accidentally coming to Earth, using her talents to save all of humanity. She captured the love of all men with her beauty and charm. Everyone who saw her loved her. More commendably, this girl was very pure, and in the end, she didn't waver between the male protagonists. After saving the world, she died very sadly. This heroine's name was Mary Sue. Since this work became popular, the term Mary Sue spread. It refers to those who are particularly charming, with an unknown aura and appeal. But as long as a man appears, he will fall in love with her. For example, in Scarlet Heart, all the princes love Liu Shishi, or in The Journey of Flower, or in Wei Zifu, and even in the sentence, "The sister is so Sue," there are Mary Sue-type heroines all over. But why is Pride and Prejudice regarded as the grandmother of Mary Sue? Because the heroine Elizabeth in this novel is very different from the Mary Sue heroines in today's popular culture. She is not narcissistic. So why did I choose this book to talk about? I have my own perspective. Among so many novels about love, this one stands out. For example, regarding marriage, readers of this book must remember one sentence. A marriage only based on money is ridiculous, but a marriage without considering money is foolish. You'd nod in agreement, right? About love. This book says, not all of us will have romance. This means love requires some luck and some skills. It's not something you can get just because you want it. Regarding character, because of pride you can't love me, because of prejudice I can't love you. But just for these few quotes, the book wouldn't be worth talking about. I chose to discuss this book for 3 very important reasons. First, love is not the only theme in Pride and Prejudice. In the last third of the novel, it emphasizes the self-growth of Elizabeth, the heroine. It repeatedly poses the question, do you, as a woman, truly know who you are? Actually, the same goes for all the boys. For example, when we grow up and look at Journey to the West again, we realize that the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, is always going through self-growth. Initially, he was just a monkey born from a stone, later called that monkey. Then he was apprenticed to a master who named him Sun Wukong. Then he became the great sage equal to heaven, and finally, the victorious fighting Buddha.